Hello, in this video today I'm going to explain why the fees on the Bitcoin network are or were so high, reaching $20 per transaction, and give a spoiler about what BRC-20 is and the difference between ERC-20. But before we begin, make sure to subscribe to the channel and like the video, as it really helps me out. So, what are BRC-20 tokens? You might still remember the ordinals. Those Bitcoin NFTs made possible through the functionality implemented by Taproot in November 2021. For those who don't recall, the ordinals are a type of non-fungible token registered directly on the Bitcoin blockchain. An audio, video, image, or document can be attached to even the tiniest fraction of BTC, called a Satoshi. A software was created to establish a standard for issuing NFTs in Satoshis. That's how the ordinals came to be in a nutshell. On March 8, a Twitter user who goes by the name Domo came up with the concept of BRC-20, building on the idea of the ordinals. In other words, Domo used the same inscription software, which is the technical term for issuing something with the ordinal software. After this brief summary, we arrive at BRC-20. It is a token standard issued on the BTC network, using the same software as the ordinals. The first token created was ORDI, which was used for testing by Domo. On the same night, the meme token was also created. Domo believes that someone saw the tests he was conducting and decided to create a token to test what was being done. For those familiar with programming, JSON files are simple, and that's why BRC-20 gains so much popularity. You just need to send a general command guide in the first inscription, dictating the contract rules. There is no contract, but I'll explain that further. A summary of what the command base would be is shown in the image you see. In other words, the maximum number of tokens that can be issued at once and the abbreviation are included. Just like with the ordinals, the first person to issue the token becomes its rightful owner. For example, the Pepe token is created, and only 10,000 units can be issued. If all have already been issued and I try to create more, the metadata will show that my inscribed tokens in the Satoshi are not part of the 10,000 tokens originally planned. However, unlike with the ordinals, it is not enough to simply transfer the Satoshi where the file is located to send the NFT to someone else. It is necessary to use the transfer command established by Domo. And what is the purpose of all this? As Domo himself mentioned in his tweet announcing this standard, he believed it would be something without value in terms of being an investment instrument. It was just an exercise to make the ordinals fungible. It may seem somewhat confusing, because it truly is. It is something created based on consensus, just like the ordinals. Someone creates a memecoin and announces it on Twitter. The information spreads, and everyone starts buying. If you think the concept is silly, that's okay. If you're wondering about its usefulness, so far, there isn't much. Well, it depends on your perspective. What I can tell you is that people are now creating many memecoins to speculate on them, taking advantage of the hype surrounding projects like Doge and Pepe. And it's been successful. I've read some news stating that the market value of BRC-20 tokens was $120 million. That was already a 600% increase compared to the week before the article was published. By May 8, the market value had reached $547 million, a 355% increase compared to the initial $120 million. Just for comparison, the total market value of BRC-20 tokens is now higher than that of the Gemini dollar (GUSD) stablecoin. Even a wallet was created to facilitate BRC-20 issuance, Unisat. Besides making issuance easier, it also simplifies transfers, making the experience more user-friendly for beginners. It's also possible to create your own token using the wallet. In short, you can do everything there. With all this, you can already imagine why it has become so expensive to transfer your Satoshis. While the ordinals did increase Bitcoin fees, they don't compare to what BRC-20 tokens are doing. Sending BTC was costing $20, and in some cases, the average fees for a block reached $26. While it brought sadness to some, miners were happy with this increased activity within the BTC network, as they were making more from fees than from block rewards. The reason is that, unlike the ordinals, BRC-20 tokens are directly impacting the number of transactions. The ordinals had a greater impact on the data load of the Bitcoin network. For example, if you run a node, you need to download much more information. With BRC-20, speculation is much more prevalent. The explosive increase in the total market value of these tokens, as I mentioned earlier, is the best indication of that. Additionally, there's the initial cost to start trading BRC-20 on Unisat. To buy from their marketplace, you need to make 20 inscriptions. Considering the price of Satoshis, it's a relatively cheap thing to do, amounting to a little over $3. However, as Ignas pointed out on Twitter, the issue lies with the fees. In the image, almost $426 is comprised of fees. This also contributes to bloating the blocks and congesting the network. BRC-20 and ERC-20. This part will be short, but it's just to differentiate things a bit. The main and biggest difference between BRC-20 and ERC-20 is the complexity of these token standards. In fact, you can't really call BRC-20 a token standard. It's a script allocated to any Satoshi. There is no compatibility, use in decentralized finance, or anything like that. In the case of ERC-20, the token standard of Ethereum, you have a smart contract where you can add different rules, increasing the complexity of the crypto asset. Now, let's move on to the controversy and debate. Arguments in favor and against are essentially the same as when the ordinals emerged. On the opposing side, people argue that Bitcoin was born to be the people's money, a solution for the unbanked. Therefore, fees cannot be high, and this type of experiment ends up hurting vulnerable people who rely on BTC. On the supportive side, there are people who believe that this kind of thing is positive for Bitcoin because it fuels the debate about unexplored applications that the network of the largest cryptocurrency by market value possesses. There's also the argument for miners who work day and night to strengthen Bitcoin's security and deserve a reward now and then. In my opinion, it's good that this kind of test is stressing the BTC network, and I hope it holds up, proving once again that we are right to be in this market. And what's your opinion on this? Leave your comment, subscribe to the channel to support me, and like the video.